Hey everybody, it's Flyin Ryan here with a review of the Blade Pico QX. I've had a lot of requests to review this one, and there's a lot of interest in this model, being that it's Blade's first Nano QX. Their naming convention's kind of weird. They call this the Nano QX and this the Pico QX, but by hobby standards, this is actually a micro and this is a nano. But anyway, this is the baby version of their Nano QX. Their first nano size quad. It's the second from Horizon Hobby. They also had the Hobby Zone Phase. But this is the first one from Blade, and Blade's a very popular brand, so lots of interest in this one. And, I had very high expectations for it. I know a lot of people have, and I've really given it a chance. I've flown it numerous times. As you can see, I actually have two of them. The first one I determined to be defective, and I called Horizon, and they sent me out a new one, and it did fix some of the problems, but some of the problems that I saw with that I still have with this. So I think there are some issues with this. So I'll try to get into everything. A lot to talk about here. First of all, you've got the prop guards just like the Nano QX has, and they do come up above the prop, so it protects you from the ceiling. And they work well. They're a little bit flimsy, but that kind of works to bounce off, and they kind of bend instead of breaking. However, they're attached to the motor mount, so like you can see the prop guard moves the whole motor. So I think maybe that may be part of my problem. Basically, to get to it, my problem with this is that it kind of gets like I had with the WL Toys V272. Sometimes the accelerometer seems to get off, and it'll just want to drift really hard to a side. And sometimes while it's flying, you can actually see it. It kind of has this weird little like twitch it'll do, like the accelerometer just does some quick little correction thing. So something strange going on there, and I can't quite figure it out. And then another thing, it's not Spectrum compatible, so you can't bind this to your Spectrum radio DX8 or anything, which is a huge disappointment. I think any Blade product should be Spectrum compatible. So really disappointing there. You are stuck to using the little nano transmitter here, which isn't horrible. It's a little bit bigger than the standard Nano, so it does fit in the hands all right. It's a little bit tricky for pinching. The sticks are kind of short, and it has thumb pads. However, you can use the 3D printed stick extensions for like the Proto X, and I like to use them. You can put the thumb pad back on the top here if you want. So even if you're a thumb flyer, they help give more resolution, so you can kind of be a little more precise. But for a pincher, I just like to use the sticks just like that, and so that works pretty well actually to extend the sticks. But the transmitter is rechargeable. It has a rechargeable battery in there, and you use the USB charger that you charge the quad off of also charges the transmitter. So personally, I like that. You don't have to worry about batteries. But some people don't like that because then, the LiPo goes bad and it's kind of built in. I don't even know if they have replacements for them or what you'd have to go through to replace it. And then it also comes with a spare set of props. But speaking about replaceable batteries, the canopy on this is really easy to remove. It just has two little grommets on the back, and the front just kind of pivots off. And so they made the canopy easy to remove, but the battery is soldered to the board. So I don't understand why it's so easy to get to the battery, but then they don't have it plugged in where you could just easily replace it. So that's kind of a little bit of a disappointment as well. And from what I hear, it's only an 80 milliamp hour battery, which would be the smallest nano battery yet. And it only takes 25 minutes to charge, but you only get about 3.5 minute flight. So it's pretty short on the flight times. But with that smaller battery, and it's still getting the same flights that you usually get with like a 100 milliamp hour battery, it's because this thing is incredibly light. It is only 8.5 grams, whereas the Proto X is 11 grams. So quite a bit lighter, and it feels like it in the air. It is when you're actually flying it, it's nice and precise and nimble, just like the Nano QX. It flies great. But then, you just get this weird accelerometer thing where every once in a while it just wants to drift off somewhere. It does flips, but it's a little slow on the flip recovery. I mean, you'll see the motors are just tiny, tiny little motors because, again, it's so light, but I'm pretty sure they are smaller than the standard Nano motor. So it's a little slow on the flip recovery, but you can do double flips as well. You click the left stick for flips, which is kind of backwards for normal. Right stick is your two different rates, and it does have a changing fast yaw. And then left stick is the flip. So you click it once and move your right stick to flip, or this does double flip. So you can click the left stick twice, and then whichever way you move the stick, it'll do two flips. So that's pretty cool. But you need quite a bit of height because, it does the two flips and then a long recovery. So I don't even know if I'll be able to pull off a double flip in the kitchen or not. So we'll find out. Let's see, what else did I have to say about it? I did have some problems with there's not much clearance between the canopy and the prop, so if your canopy ends up coming off a little bit, there's some double sticky tape on the top of the battery that actually sticks to the canopy, so if you push it down, it kind of sticks into place, but every once in a while it wants to come off, and if the canopy angles up a little bit, the props will want to hit the canopy. So if you hear some weird noises, just check your canopy and make sure the props aren't hitting it. And I did have some issues with the charger. Is kind of hard to tell which side is the right side or not. So I would have a lot of problems getting it plugged in right. It seems like it can plug in both ways, but it only works one way. So a little bit tricky there, plugging it in and trying to figure out, which way is right. I guess there's this arrow. I guess that is up. I think, yeah, it looks like that's. I don't know. Again, so a little bit. I wish they would have made it a little clearer which way the plug goes to charge it or to plug the charger in. And so yeah, I think that's about it. So, again, I tried. I mean, I've given this so many flights. I've talked to people on RC groups about it extensively. Some people say that theirs is flawless. They've had no problems. They love it. But I have had some issues with it. So we'll give it a flight. I'll see if I can, get some of the issues that I'm talking about on film so others can see it. But again, it's great when it works, and it flies really nice when it does. It's just not quite as good as the Nano QX like I was hoping it to. I mean, this is still my favorite indoor quad, my favorite micro quad, and it just doesn't quite live up to the name, but it is cool to have a little baby version of it. Anyway, enough rambling, so let's go take it for a flight. Alright, this is the flight review of the Blade Pico QX. And with this one, you want to make sure to turn on the transmitter first, and then the quad. And the green light should start blinking when it binds. Alright, it is bound up. And it has the blue LEDs in the front and red in the back, and then the green inside the canopy blinks the whole time. And got my trims all centered out, so we'll see what it does. I don't know what rate I'm on. So, real quiet little guy. I don't understand why it beeps twice for both rates. So it's already wanting to fly hard to the left. Look at it. Now I can't even barely. Here, let me get it straightened back out. Hands off. Hard to the left. I can almost barely counter it with the right. Look at that. Why is it... Let me put a bunch of right trim, try to trim it out. Now it's wanting to yaw. Anyway, so there's our pirouettes. Nice fast yaw rate. That was in high rates, that's low rate pirouette. Let's try some funneling. There we go. It's a little bit funky in the pirouettes because I got a bunch of trim applied. I don't have much time. See, ooh, it did some weird twitching there. That was the schizo accelerometer. Just kind of twitches around mid-flight sometimes. Oh, there did another little twitch. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on camera because it's so small, but let's try a flip. So there's our flip, slow recovery. And do another one. Slow recovery. Let's do a double flip. Oh, kind of did it. And I've got a bunch of weird stuff going on because I've got so much trim input and it's kind of wanting to yaw. Now it's wanting to fly to the right, so I'm going to trim it back to the left again. Let's try another double flip. Kinda did it. It does a little bit of a yaw spin going into the flip. I don't know what's going on. It keeps wanting to turn to the right on its own. Now it's wanting to drift forward and to the left again. So it's just all over the place with the trim. Okay, so now it's got a nice hover to it, so let's fly it around for a bit. Probably don't have much battery life left. Put it back on high rates. So I mean, when you're flying, it flies nice. You just, when you keep it moving, little prop guard test, not bad there. It's just when you try to actually hover, see, now it wants to go off to the right. And I haven't changed anything since it was just hovering fine. Now it's drifting to the left. I just don't get this thing. I mean, the Nano QX hovers so nicely. But again, you know, when you're actually flying it, it's pretty nice and precise. And other than those weird little accelerometer twitches that it's doing. Whoa, what was that? That wasn't me at all. That was it doing that. What is it doing right now? And there's our battery. So that was the entire flight right there. So not too long on the flights. So, you know, make what you will of it. I don't really know. I mean, I've heard people say that they don't see those problems. I've got two of them and they both do it. So I don't know, maybe I got two back to back that were defective, but then you have to wonder, you know, what's going on that these things are defective. So a little bit disappointed with this one. I'm normally a huge fan of Blade. I'm a huge fan of Horizon Hobby in general. So I had high expectations for this one. I'm just a little bit let down by it. I think actually maybe the Hobby Zone phase may be the better Nano after all. I thought for sure this was going to be the better one, but I don't know. Anyway, check the video description for the price and purchase link if you want to try your luck with one, and I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.